There is a person you have not spoken to in months, maybe years, and yet right now, at some completely ordinary moment, your brain handed you their face, their voice, something they said, something they did, and for a few seconds or a few hours, you were right back there. You did not choose that. You never do. That is the strange part. The people who treated you best, the ones who made you laugh and made you feel safe, you can go weeks without thinking about them at all. But the person who left you confused, who hurt you, who made you feel small or uncertain or not enough, they live in a room inside your head that you cannot seem to lock. Why does the mind do that? Why does pain get remembered harder than joy? The answer is not weakness. It is not obsession. It is not a flaw in your character. The answer is evolution, and it goes back much further than the person you are thinking of right now. Your brain is not designed to make you happy. It is designed to keep you alive. And for hundreds of thousands of years, the most dangerous thing a human being could encounter was not an animal. It was another person. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent decades studying how human social groups form and maintain themselves. His research found that early humans lived in tight bands of roughly 150 individuals. Every single relationship in that group carried survival stakes. If someone in your group turned on you, excluded you, or threatened you, that was not just a bad day. That could mean starvation. That could mean death. Your brain learned to treat social threat the same way it treats physical danger. Neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA ran a now famous study in which participants played a simple virtual ball tossing game. At some point, the other players stopped throwing the ball to them. That was it. They were just left out of a digital game. And the brain scans showed something remarkable. The area of the brain that lit up during social exclusion was the same region that activates during physical pain. The dorsal anterior cingulate cortex. The exact same tissue. Being rejected does not just feel like pain. It is pain. Biologically identical. Processed in the same place. By the same system. And what does your brain do with pain? It remembers it in extreme detail. It runs it back. It studies it. It tries to find the pattern so it never happens again. This is called negative bias, and it is one of the most well-documented features of human cognition. Psychologist Roy Baumeister reviewed decades of research and concluded that bad events, bad emotions, and bad relationships have a stronger and more lasting effect on the brain than equally powerful good ones. He called it the asymmetry of bad over good. A single betrayal can undo months of trust. One cruel sentence can outlast 100 kind ones. That is not you being dramatic. That is your threat detection system doing exactly what it was built to do. But here is the part that makes it stranger. The person does not have to have been a stranger. Often it is someone you loved, someone you trusted, and that creates a specific kind of cognitive wound that your brain finds nearly impossible to close. When someone who is supposed to be safe hurts you, it creates what psychologists call a prediction error. Your brain had a model of that person. It had expectations. It had an assigned level of trust. And then the reality contradicted the model. Sharply, in a way that mattered. Your brain cannot just file that away. It has to reconcile it. It runs the memory again, looking for the signal it missed. It asks, what did I misread? When did it change? Could I have seen it coming? Was there a moment I could have done something different? This rumination loop was documented extensively by psychologist Susan Nolan Hoeksema at Yale, who spent her career studying why certain people get stuck in repetitive thinking after painful events. She found that the brain uses rumination as a problem-solving strategy, even when the problem no longer has a solution. It keeps searching for an answer to a question that has already closed. The loop is not irrational. It is just late. The threat that triggered it is gone, but the system is still running. And there is one more layer. Humans are the most socially complex animals on Earth. Your brain maintains a dedicated mental model of every significant person in your life. It tracks their behavior patterns, their likely responses, their relationship to you. This is called a mental simulation. Neuroscientists sometimes call it running a social emulator. When a relationship ends, or when someone hurts you and walks away, the brain does not immediately delete the model. It keeps it active, running. Because for most of human history, the people in your social group did not disappear. They stayed. You had to keep track of them. You had to keep updating the simulation. Your brain is still doing that. It is still running the program for a person who is no longer in your world. And sometimes the simulation generates output, a thought, an image, a fragment of something they said. Not because you wanted to, because the process has not been told to stop. This is why you can sometimes go days without thinking of them, then hear a song, or drive past a street, or smell something specific, and the whole thing comes back full and sharp. Sensory cues reactivate the stored simulation. The brain was not done processing. It was just waiting for a trigger. None of this means you are damaged. None of this means something is wrong with you. The fact that your brain holds on to this person so tightly is evidence that the relationship mattered. The system does not waste resources on things that did not register as important. It is paying this much attention because, at a biological level, it classified this as significant threat-relevant information. But here is what the research also shows. The loop does not close through avoidance. Trying not to think about someone is one of the most reliably ineffective strategies the human brain has ever attempted. Psychologist Daniel Wegner at Harvard demonstrated this with his famous white bear experiment. He told participants not to think about a white bear. They thought about it almost immediately and could not stop. Suppression increases intrusion. The harder you push the thought away, the more forcefully it returns. What closes the loop, slowly, imperfectly, is meaning-making. The brain is not just looking for a resolution to the threat. It is looking for a narrative, a coherent story in which what happened makes sense, in which you understand your own role clearly, in which the experience is categorized and placed rather than left open and unresolved. This is why talking about it helps, even when it seems pointless. Why writing about it helps. Not to relive it, but to force the formless loop into a shape the brain can finally file. And this is why time alone is not enough. The passage of time does not close the loop. Processing closes the loop. The brain needs to arrive at a version of events it can accept as complete. You will get there, not because you are forcing it, but because this is what your brain is trying to do every single time it hands you that face at the wrong moment. It is not torturing you. It is working. It is doing what your ancestors' brains did in a dark camp after a conflict with someone in their group, running the memory again and again, because getting it right meant surviving. You are still here. You are still safe. The system just has not received that message yet. But somewhere in the same ancient part of your brain that kept your ancestors alive through every betrayal and loss and broken trust that human beings have survived for 100,000 years, the process is finishing. And one day, you will realize you went a whole day without thinking of them at all.